Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video tutorial. This will be bot number 10. It will also deal with the same direction cannons, File Chariot versus Deferred Chariot Variation. Again, I would like to express my thanks to Master Wenqing and Grandmaster Zhang. So without further ado, let us begin. Same direction cannons, File, File Chariot versus Rank Chariot. Now, in the previous board, since black had played p7 plus 1, red will play p7 plus 1. However, for this board, red will play h8 plus 7 to fortify his central file instead. Now, developing the horse as a proper horse will strengthen red's central file. This is a general trend in modern openings, and this is a very particularly important issue in cannon versus cannon openings. And black would usually develop his horse likewise for tit for tat counter. This will also give both colors much flexibility to adjust their future plans. Now, since black had advanced the horse, red will now advance the pawn, and this is a commonly seen move. Now, r2 plus 4 is not so common, it's not so advocated, because if this were played, black would offer a trade of chariots. If red accepted the chariot, it resulted in loss of momentum because he had made one extra move of moving the chariot to the riverbank. So usually red would attack the pawn, but black would counter with e3 plus 1, preparing to play r1 equals to 3 to counter. c2 minus 1 would also be a possible counter, and black would still be able to deal with red's aggressions in a calm and collected manner, and red might not have gained anything in the process. So that is why r2 plus 4 is not advocated. So at this point in time, it would be common for black to develop his right chariot. It's in the previous board, black had trouble developing his chariot. So in this board, black would develop his chariot as early as possible. Now this is a justified tactic that complies with the original intentions of the Deferred Chariot Variation. Now, the right chariot would be correct if r9 plus 1 were played. Red would now play r2 plus 4, and the possibility of offering a trade of chariots would not be prevalent, would not be on the board. And this chariot will actually not have many good places to go because the riverbank had already been controlled by red. It follows that red can play p3 plus 1 to trade pawns and start his attack to continue developing his initiative. So r1 plus 1 is justified, and red would play r8, c8 plus 2. Now this would be a more steadfast counter, slower paced, and this this move would also contain elements of central cannon versus with riverbank cannon versus screenhouse defense. There are some elements that are quite similar. Black would play r1 equals to 4. This would be the position of discussion for this board. So neither colors have pushed the pawn across the river, and you're starting the attack. With r1 plus 4, black threatens to play r4 plus 6, etc. as part of his plans to continue attacking. Two counters are discussed. First would be r2 plus 4, the other would be p3 plus 1. In variation A, r2 plus 4 was discussed, and since red had pushed the chariot to the riverbank, black would offer a trade of chariots, hoping to gain some momentum to fight for the initiative. If he chose to play r4 plus 5, p3 plus 1, protect, capture, and now suddenly red will have 3 pieces attacking this flank. And red can be very satisfied with this situation. Now it follows that at this point in time, red can continue r2 equals to 7, c3 equals to 1 to threaten to capture the chariot, etc. h3 plus 4, etc. to attack. So h3 plus 4 to threaten the fork, etc. And it would be too late for black to defend against all these possibilities. So red would grow from strength to strength, and black would be in all sorts of trouble. So r4 plus 5 is the bad idea because of trading the pawns and allowing the cannon to cross to this flank. So r2 equals to 6. Red, of course, refuses. He will offer a trade of chariots instead. So 1, 2, 3 versus 1, 2, 3. So red would not lose any tempo, and in the process of doing so, he would actually be able to develop his horse to the riverbank. Black would not want to trade chariots, or he will lose tempo. Red would take his time and up his defenses. And black would play c2 equals to 1. Now this is to give the chariot an open line to attack the cannon if need be. He would also change or adjust his position to the situation on the board. Now, would it be a good idea for black to play h7 plus 6 to attack the chariot or fight for an important position on the riverbank? The answer would be no, because red would refuse, threaten the horse. And if black played this move, red would be prepared to charge the pawn forward. This pawn is protected by the cannon, so black cannot capture it, and once it crosses, the horses can be linked, etc., and red would have a significant advantage in this situation. So that is why h7 plus 6 is not a good idea. And at this point in time, red would force a trade of chariots as he adjusted his formation. It would not be a good idea to play r9 equals to 8 because this chariot would not have any good place to move. And instead, black would simply move his cannon back and gain a move in the process. Let's say if the chariot moved away, black could advance the cannon, etc. So c5 equals to 6, forcing a trade of chariots. Like the effects or the idea behind c2 equals to 1 is now seen. The black chariot would be given an open line to attack this cannon. And black can be satisfied with this situation overall. The horse cannot have any good positions to move, it cannot attack, and both colors will be the pace of the game would have slowed down considerably, but black is able to handle red's aggressions. So this would be variation A. Now in variation B, p3 plus 1 is played, whereby red would immediately offer a trade of pawns. Black would not accept the trade so easily. Instead, he would try to patrol, but red would now move the horse, counter-attacking the horse, a pawn across the river, dislodging the chariot, and black would retreat his chariot to safety. But in the past few rounds, both colors went at it tit for tat. At this point in time, black retreated his chariot back to his own camp. Now, the idea was to limit the horse from attacking. So, it would not be a good idea to play r4 plus 1, because the horse would now attack, p7 plus 1. And red would be prepared to play h6 plus 4 to attack and invade black's territory. So, the chariot has still yet to be developed, so black would be in all sorts of trouble. So h4 plus 6, 4 plus 3, p7 plus 1. Now the presence of this pawn is a big issue for red, so let us see how red would handle it. p7 equals to 6. Now this is considered to be an impetuous move, although it will allow black to capture the central pawn, but it would slow down or further delay the development of the other black pieces. So instead, it would be advocated for black to try to trade chariots. If red refused, he'll retreat the chariot, hoping to retreat the cannon, hoping to gain a cannon pin. And black will sacrifice his cross-river pawn in exchange for development of his material, which is very nice now. Black will still be in contention. So r9 equals to 8 would be the better move. So p7 equals to 6 impetuous. Red targets the horse, threatening to gain material. Black retreats. Red attacks the pawn. And black double downs his attack over here, targeting this very glaring weakness. c4 plus 1. And as can be seen, red will have an easier time ahead. All the 6 pieces are now attacking, and black's formation is a little bit disorganized and disjointed. So there'll be many possibilities for red to continue with. So red will have an easier time ahead. Now in variation A, red advanced the chariot to the riverbank. Unfortunately, this move would be a little bit give the player a sense of repetition, because the cannon had already patrolled the riverbank, so r2 plus 4 is not a good idea. So let us review the board from the eyes of black. Central same direction cannons, foul versus deferred chariot variation. Both horses are developed as proper horses, and since black did not play p7 plus p3 plus 1, black could play p7 plus 1. This is commonly seen move. If r2 plus 4, red will be able to handle black's aggressions nicely. 1 plus 1. The riverbank cannon will be the main topic today. And black will play r1 equals to 4, which would be the position of discussion. r2 plus 4. Now this move, as can be seen from variation A, is considered to be repetitive, because there's already a cannon patrolling the riverbank, and at this point in time there seems to be no need to reinforce the position on the riverbank. Instead, with r2 plus 4, black gets the chance to offer a trade of chariot. So as the game developed, black would slowly claw his way back into the game. So this will be offering a chariot. As mentioned earlier, traversing the cannon will give this chariot an upper line later on. Black forces the trade of material, attack the cannon, and black can be satisfied with this position because the horse would have no good places to continue moving to. It cannot move here, otherwise it will be captured. It cannot move here, the horse has guarded this, and capturing the central pawn is simply not a viable option. Now retreating the horse would not be a good idea, because black could protect both the elephant, protect the pawn, and this horse will have even harder to develop. So black can be satisfied with this position. Variation B, perhaps the better of the two, will be p3 plus 1. And the fight along the battle along the riverbank would now begin. So black manages to cross a pawn across the river before he retreats. Now at this point in time, red would have developed most of his major pieces nicely, but black has a cross river pawn. So f4 equals to 3. Otherwise, the cannon would capture it, and black would have lost momentum. r2 plus 4. Impetuous move. Instead, it was advised for black to play c9 equals to r9 equals to 8 again, such that black would sacrifice the cross river pawn to gain development of his material, and he was still a very playable game. Now, if p7 equals to 6 were played, after a few rounds of to and fro, black would capture the central pawn, but the pawn has moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this would be done at expenses of inadequate development of the other major pieces. Protect, and red would have the easier time ahead because of black's disjointed position. So this is quite an interesting idea, and for a few things that the beginner must remember about developing material. So chariot, Black's Deferred Chariot Variation. This chariot is used often to trade for Red's chariot to decrease Red's attack, while Black tries to master one of his own. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like the work that I've been doing, please do subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up for this video. Thank you and have a nice week ahead.